All right, we've hit the 6 o'clock hour. I'll give the reverb a second there. There we go. All righty. All right, we certainly have a quorum and more, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'll call the February 10th, 2025 City Council meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. Before we get started with our agenda, if you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Trimble, would you do a roll call for us, please?
Absolutely. Beginning with Anderson.
Present.
Becerra.
I don't believe she's in yet.
Absent.
Absent, yeah.
Campbell.
Here.
Carlino. Present. Farmer.
Present.
Jones.
Present.
Jordan.
Present.
Nelson.
Present.
Nugent.
Present.
Savage.
Present.
Cheryl.
Present.
Basika.
Present.
Right, and we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we have minutes from February 3rd, 2025. Any changes or questions on those? None. All right, great. Those minutes can remain as submitted. Thank you. The committee schedule for this Wednesday, February 12th. Claire, do you have any updates or changes to that committee schedule?
No changes to the committee schedule.
Okay, great. Committee is scheduled from 9 until 1:10. All right. Thank you for that. We have no neighborhood council updates this evening. And so our public hearings, we do have two public hearings this evening. One is for a rezone on Eaton Street, and then the other is a FY 2025 Q1 budget amendment. Beyond that, we've got our normal consent agenda, several items listed under there, but we don't have any items under regular council business. And then lastly, of course, we have our legislative updates. So we'll go ahead and start with our public hearings. And we'll start with item 5.1 and ask staff member Kristen Spatafor to take it away.
Hello, good evening. Can everyone hear me and see my screen?
Yes, Kristen, we can, and I'll take this moment to mention, Ms. Trimble, that Councilor Becerra is present. All right, we can see your screen, Kristen, thank you.
Okay, great. Let me move this little guy. Okay, well, good evening. My name is Kristen Spatafor, and I am an associate planner with the City of Missoula Development Services Division. Development Services has received a request from MS22 LLC, represented by Montana Northwest Company, to rezone the property located at 2130 to 2136 Eaton Street and 2252 to 2258 West Central Avenue. The applicant is requesting to rezone the property from RM 2.7 residential multi-dwelling to RM 1-35 residential multi-dwelling. This rezoning, if approved, will result in a standard zoning district under Title 20, which cannot be conditioned. Standard zoning districts must apply the same requirements to all parcels within the same zoning district equally. The subject property is located at 2130 to 2136 Eaton Street and 2252 to 2258 West Central Avenue on the northeast corner of Eaton Street and West Central Avenue. This location is within the Franklin to the Fort neighborhood and City Council Ward 5. The property is located within an established service area for Missoula hospitals, city fire, and police departments. Here's a closer view of the parcel outlined in red. The subject property is approximately 11,925 square feet in size and is developed with two fourplex residential buildings. It is surrounded by single detached dwelling units to the south, east, and west, and 2-unit or duplex and single detached dwelling units to the north. The applicable regional plan is the Our Missoula 2045 Land Use Plan, approved December 16th, 2024. Shown here is the newly adopted place type designations with the subject properties starred. The newly adopted land use plan indicates the RM1, RMH, RM1.5, RM0.5, B1 and B2 districts as current relatable zoning districts within the urban residential high place type. These zoning districts have residential and neighborhood commercial uses that permit all residential building types, as well as a variety of commercial uses. Here's the current zoning map with the subject property outlined in red. The subject property is currently zoned RM 2.7 multi-dwelling residential. Shown here is the proposed zoning map with the subject property outlined in red. The applicant requests to rezone from RM 2.7 residential multi-dwelling to RM 135 residential multi-dwelling. The proposed RM 135 zoning district complies with the current land use plan as it is a relatable district to the urban residential high place type designation. The current RM 2.7 zoning is not consistent with the place type designation. And also the surrounding RT 5.4 zoning is also not consistent with the corresponding urban residential high place type designation. The 2045 land use plan calls for a focused inward approach to encourage infill development in the urban core where infrastructure already exists and promotes mixed-use, compact development and enhanced connectivity while limiting sprawl and promoting efficient use of existing infrastructure. The proposed RM 135 zoning would increase density in an area with existing infrastructure. A bus stop serving Mountain Line Route 2 is located approximately 0.3 miles east of the property, and Mountain Line Route 8 is within 0.2 miles. There are sections of sidewalk along West Central Avenue and on Eaton Street, especially to the south approaching South Avenue and to the east approaching Johnson Street. Adjacent to the subject property, pedestrian pathways are absent. The Bitterroot Trail Shared Use Path, a city-maintained shared use path that provides access to the downtown and other parts of Missoula, is located approximately 0.4 miles to the east of the property and can be accessed by traveling east along West Central Avenue. Rail-Link Park is approximately 0.27 miles to the east of the property, and Franklin Park is approximately 0.8 miles to the north of the property. The subject property is served by city water and sewer services. Any new structures will be required to connect to city water and sewer at the time of development, and the parcel is currently served by city fire and police. Here's a comparison between the existing and the proposed zoning districts. Both the existing RM 2.7 zoning district and the proposed RM 135 allow the same residential types of building types of detached house, lot line house, 2-unit townhouse, 3-unit townhouse, 2-unit house, multi-dwelling house and building. The existing RM 2.7 zoning district, which has a minimum parcel area of 2,700 square feet, would allow up to 4 dwelling units on the subject property. The proposed RM 135 zoning district would allow up to 12 dwelling units as the minimum area per unit is 1,000 square feet. Both the existing RM 2.7 zoning district and the RM 135 have the same setback requirements, a front and rear setback of 20 feet, 5 on interior sides, and 10 feet on the street sides. The maximum building height permitted in the existing district is 30 or 35 feet, depending on the roof pitch, and the maximum building height permitted in the proposed RM 135 zoning district is 35 feet. The proposed RM 135 zoning district would allow the additional permitted uses provided in Title 20, Table 20.05-1. Some of these include college, fraternity, sorority, office, personal improvement service, and residential support services. Staff's recommendation is based on the review criteria provided in the Title 20 zoning ordinance. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the land use plan's vision for the development of a diverse, equitable, and resilient housing system. The rezoning will promote public health, public safety, and the general welfare by providing for residential uses in an area with access to public water, sewer, emergency services, streets, schools, and other urban amenities. The subject property is served by water, sewer, motorized, and non-motorized facilities. The rezoning considers the effect on motorized and non-motorized transportation systems because the property is within the Missoula Urban Transportation District, is served by public transit, is located near Johnson Street, where active transportation infrastructure exists, and is located approximately 0.4 miles from the Bitterroot Trail shared use path. Urban residential high place types are identified as areas within the core of the community where city services and infrastructure are readily available to prevent sprawl into sensitive and constrained lands. The rezoning promotes compatible urban growth because it helps to implement the focused inward approach of the land use plan and allows for increased dwelling units where services and infrastructure already exist. The rezoning to RM 135 is suitable for the subject property because it is a current relatable zoning district for lands within the urban residential high place type. RM 135 is a residential zoning district consistent with surrounding residential districts and uses. The rezoning is in the best interest of the city because the rezoning implements the recommendations of the land use plan for areas designated within the urban residential high place type. The current zoning of RM 2.7 is not a current relatable zoning district in the R Missoula 2045 land use plan. On January 21st, 2025, Planning Board voted unanimously in favor of a recommendation to City Council to adopt an ordinance rezoning the subject property from RM 2.7 to RM 135. And with that, staff recommends City Council adopt an ordinance to rezone the subject property located at 2130 to 2136 Eaton Street and 2252 to 2258 West Central Avenue from RM 2.7 residential multi-dwelling to RM 135 residential multi-dwelling based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff report. That concludes my presentation. Does council have any questions for me?
Thank you very much, Ms. Spatafor. Any questions from council? I'm looking around, I'm not seeing any in the room, I'm not seeing any online here. Let's give it a couple of seconds as we transition. Any questions? Okay. I'm not seeing any questions. I think that might then queue us up for the main motion, and I'll look to Councilor Nugent for that.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. I move City Council adopt an ordinance to rezone the subject property located at 2130 through 2136 Eaton Street and 2252 to 2258 West Central Avenue, and legally described as lots 19 through 21 in Block 18 of Carline Addition subdivision, located in Section 29, Township 13 North, Range 19 West, PMM, from RM 2.7 residential multi-dwelling to RM 1-35 residential multi-dwelling, based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff report.
All right, thank you very much. So this is second reading. We've got the motion on the floor. This opens up the public hearing, and we'll go ahead and invite the public to make comment. So if there's anybody here in the public that wishes to make public comment, come on up to the microphone. And we ask that comments are limited to 3 minutes. And come on up if anybody's here. Not to, solo target you, but you're our one member. Let me make sure you're on here. Hold on one second. Thank you. All right. Please state your name for the record, please.
For the record, Ken Jenkins with Montana Northwest Company. Thank you, Mayor Davis. Thank you, Kristen, and members of the council. As you just heard, this proposal checks all the boxes. I would only add one thing, that some might consider this property to be somewhat blighted, and this rezone will go a long way in creating a better investment opportunity and at least a chance for improvement to this property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, and I appreciate it. I should have asked if anybody was here representing the developer or sponsor as part of the staff presentation, so appreciate you coming up. Got it. Part of your public comment. Excellent. On record. Is there any other members of the public wishing to make comment this evening? Anybody online? Okay. Not seeing any, that wraps up our public hearing for this item. We'll bring it back to city council members to see if there is any comments or any questions. None? All right. So that brings us then to a roll call vote. Ms. Trimble, when you're ready.
All right. We're going to do a roll call vote on an ordinance to rezone the subject property located at Eaton and West Central Avenue, beginning with Anderson.
Yes.
Becerra.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Carlino.
Yes.
Farmer.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Nugent.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Yes.
And Vasika.
Yes.
And that passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for such a thorough staff presentation, Kristen. And that item is wrapped up. Thank you for members of the public coming down to be part of the public hearing, provide public comment. Thank you. And that does then bring us to item 5.2, which is our FY25 quarter one budget amendments. Lee Griffin is here to present for us this evening. Hi, Lee.
Hello. So tonight, I am asking, first, Lee Griffin, City Finance Director. Tonight, I'm asking City Council to approve a resolution which will amend the FY25 budget. The city has changes that happen all throughout the year, so we need to recognize those in the budget, and the state law gives us a legal mechanism with which to do that, which is this budget amendment process. Sorry for clicking around here. Just want to pull up the exhibit that we attached to the agenda. Thank you. Here we go. So this exhibit outlines all of the budget amendments that are reflected in the resolution. And there are two other items that are in this exhibit as well. Those are budget carry forwards and budget transfers. But first, starting with the budget amendments, these are lined out by department, description, revenue account and amount, and expenditure account and amount. And when you see fund balance up here, that simply means that the associated fund for this particular expenditure actually has enough balance to support this additional expenditure. And we have 18 items in here, which total an increase in revenues of $1,917,240 and expenditures of $2,481,797.37. So the other two items that we bring forward with this are budget carry forwards, and these are items that were under contract in the prior fiscal year but didn't quite close out the activities when the budget was adopted in late summer. And then the final section here in our exhibit are budget transfers, and this is really just a lot of accounting. We have thousands of account codes, and we want to make sure we get everything in the appropriate code. Sometimes things need to transfer, but if somebody were to look at the very first budget resolution adopted by City Council in late summer, and then the final one after these budget amendments, there would be changes within there, and so we reflect all of these in this exhibit. And again, I'm asking City Council to consider adopting a resolution increasing total city revenues by $1.9 million and budgeted appropriations by $2.4 million. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Do any city council members have questions for Ms. Griffin? Not seeing any? Not seeing any in the room? How about online? Any questions? All right. I'm not hearing any questions, then we would go ahead, and this is a recommended motion because this is a public hearing, so we'll move it to Miss Cheryl, Counselor Cheryl, for the motion, please.
Yeah, I recommend that we approve a resolution for the first quarter fiscal year 2025 amendments to the annual appropriations.
Great, thank you very much. So that motion is on the floor. That opens up the public hearing. And if there are any members of the public wishing to make a comment on this agenda item, come on up now. Okay, not seeing any in the audience. How about online? Okay, not seeing any online either. So that does wrap up the public comment and the public hearing, brings it back to council. Any burning questions after that? Okay. That wraps up our public hearing then, and we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote, beginning with Counselor Becerra.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Carlino.
Yes.
Farmer.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Jordan.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Nugent.
Yes.
Savage.
Yes.
Cheryl.
Yes.
Masika.
Yes.
And Anderson.
Yes.
And that also passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you very much. That wraps up our public hearings for the evening, and we have no new business, so we'll move right to the consent agenda. And Claire, if you'll go ahead and post the consent agenda on the screen, we'll go ahead and have you read that, and go ahead and take public comment before taking a vote.
All right, on this evening's consent agenda, we have accounts payable or claims dated February 11th, 2025 in the amount of $810,000, $193.07. We have a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the bid award with Knife River for the Ronald and Keith Water Main project at a cost not to exceed $744,744, and to authorize the return of bid bonds. We have a motion to approve and authorize the mayor to sign the amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with WGM Group for the Ronald and Keith Water Replacement Project at a cost not to exceed $85,500. We have a motion to award bid schedule 1 for the Grant Creek realignment project to J&J Excavating and Trucking Inc. at a cost not to exceed $2,031,794.10, and to authorize the return of bid bonds, and the mayor to authorize and sign cost share agreements with the Prolo Family Clovis LLC and the Missoula Urban Transportation District and Darby Ranch LLC. We have a motion to adopt a resolution of the Missoula City Council releasing 2 public utility easements running through private property located at the northwest quarter of Section 7, T13N R19W, Missoula, Montana, Missoula West Industrial Subdivision. We have a motion to approve the reinstatement of deed of conservation easement and grant of public recreational trail easement for the North Hills Allied Waste property. Approve the mayor to sign the restatement and accept a trail easement which will provide public access on designated routes across the property. We have a motion to award the bid for Scott Street Phase 1 surface project for the sum of $754,899 and authorize the return of bid bonds with an amendment to leave the railing in place and the bike lanes as is and move forward with the intersections. We have a motion to approve the Linda Vista Estates subdivision Phase 2 final plat affidavit of correction. And finally, a motion to approve the Riverview subdivision final plat 1923 River Road.
All righty. That brings us to the end of our consent agenda. Oh, yep, okay, good deal. Just want to check in here with folks, see if anybody has any items, any questions before we turn it over to public comment this evening. Here, if we hear from the public on the consent agenda. No? All right. None in the room. How about online? Any members of the public wishing to make comment? All right. Not seeing any? Not seeing any requests for separation of items? Okay, then we'll go ahead and we will do a voice vote, please. Thank you.
Great. Voting on this evening's consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? Hearing none, that is unanimous.
All right, thank you very much. As mentioned, we don't have any items under regular business, so that'll take us right to our state legislature updates. We've got Jessica Miller in the house to go ahead and give us those. Ms. Miller, when you're ready.
Good evening, everybody. Jessica Miller with Central Services. I don't have a ton of bills to update you on tonight. So the first one I want to mention is House Bill 121, which is, the title is Provide Privacy in Certain Restrooms, Changing Rooms, and Sleeping Quarters. That's the one that would require us to ensure that all city facilities are single sex, any multi-occupancy, bathrooms, locker rooms, et cetera. That item did pass second reading on the Senate floor today, which means it only has third reading tomorrow, and then it will be transmitted to the governor. And that one did pass on strictly party lines today. House Bill 155 is up this week. It would revise Class 4 residential and commercial property taxes. This one is carried by Representative Thane from here in Missoula. That one has a hearing on Wednesday, and we are testifying in support of it. That's one of the bills to adjust property taxes this year. We have House Bill 245, which revises the Montana Help Act workforce development. It's a Medicaid and housing bill that helps us achieve some of our goals in that way. That one passed third reading today, and it is heading to the Senate. House Bill 386, revising laws related to continuous Medicaid eligibility. That one's carried by Missoula Representative S.J. Howell. Medicaid is one of our essential tools to supporting community health and houseless programs, and so we hope that that one will be moving forward, and that one has a hearing this week as well. And finally, we have Senate Bill 204, sunset or reapprove existing voter-approved property tax levies, and Senate Bill 205, which is to revise laws related to voter approval for property tax levies. Those both had a hearing last week, and Fire Chief Hughes was in Helena to testify in opposition to those, and we're still waiting executive action on that. And that's my report, and I can take any questions.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Any questions for Jessica tonight? Yes, please, Councilor Sherrill.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that update. I was at City Club today, and the presenter was with the Commissioner's Office for Securities and Insurance, and flagged a House bill. It was, and I don't know the number, but it is one that would basically absolve energy companies from liability as it relates to wildfires. And I'm just curious if you know the number of that, because I'd like to track it. And, my concern about this is also beyond a number of things, but also how that would affect insurance rates for homeowners in the state if we were to absolve energy companies in our entire state from any liability as they relate to wildfires, as well as obviously there's concern around their investment in mitigation efforts. So I know we've got some interesting technology that's on their poles and is monitoring as the cameras that are watching for puffs of smoke and different areas. And I know that has proven to be somewhat effective. And I'm going on my soapbox, but I'd like to know if you know what bill that is, and also if you have any sense of where it is.
Councilor Sherrill, I do not see, so I see a couple of bills that haven't been introduced yet. I don't know that one does not ring any bells for me, so it's probably one that we're not currently tracking, but I will definitely look it up and get it into our list for review and share that with folks.
That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, we'll make sure we come back on that one. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Any council members online have questions? All right, I'm not seeing any. All right, Ms. Miller, then looks like it's an easy one tonight. Okay, that wraps up then our state legislature updates. Thank you. Thanks everybody for keeping an eye on what's happening. And lots happening, of course, at the state legislature these days. I will also just mention that I found this to be pretty interesting, so I'll start my comments out by saying that the Montana Free Press has created a 2025 cap. What? Oh, God, thanks. Well, just on the legislative, thank you, I won't go to mayor comments. On our state legislature updates, I'll mention that there's a 2025 capital tracker, which is an additional tool to find bills. The state of Montana has updated their website this year, and there's been some evolution with their website. Sometimes it's difficult to find some things, sometimes it's easy. So I did take a look at this different digital guide provided by Montana Free Press, and it's pretty easy to use, so I encourage folks to take a look at it. All right, let's go to public comment on non-agenda items. Thank you. Public comment on non-agenda items. No, none in the room. All right, and how about online? Okay, not seeing any, then that wraps up our public comment on non-agenda items. Thank you. I just have a brief mention. I wanted to congratulate the Missoula Art Museum. They had their gala this weekend. They celebrated their 50th anniversary. That's exceptional for that organization in a community our size. The Missoula Art Museum is truly a standout organization. You know, free admission, free expression, really is a leader in the Intercontinental West when it comes to contemporary art. And in particular, really has become a wonderful place in which a lot of Indigenous artists have had a real significant amount of opportunity to display and provide really some amazing works and exhibits there. Laura Millen is the longtime executive director, and she is retiring after 35 years. So it's something. That organization has their search underway. They've currently posted the position. She's looking to step down in June with the new person starting around that time. So I just wanted to extend my congratulations on what was a really successful event. The other thing to recognize is that I didn't realize this until the evening that the Big Sky Mudflaps were playing that are also celebrating 50 years. So they've been playing in our community for a long time. And if they keep getting better and better. But just to really stand out amazing community institutions in their own right, creating culture and music and entertainment and gathering. So it was a wonderful experience, and I just wanted to say congratulations to them both. So, all right, thank you. I'll go ahead and turn it over to Councilor Nuchin.
I'll pass tonight.
Okay. And Councilor Melson?
I'll also pass, thank you.
All right, you bet.
Pass.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll also pass.
All righty.
I'll pass.
Okay. Councilor Jones? Okay. Councilor Anderson?
Okay, well, I'll just be very brief. I just want to shout out the Public Works Department. I know that in the committee, we have always reauthorized a contract with Knife River for emergency excavating. And I was like, oh, when did that actually happen? Well, it happened in Ward 5 yesterday afternoon. And they were out there, and Public Works were out there dealing with water everywhere. And it was a cold Sunday. I was on my way home to start watching the Super Bowl, and I'm sure everybody who was working right then and there also wanted to be on their way home or to wherever to watch the Super Bowl. So I think there's a lot of times that we don't necessarily understand all the various aspects that the city provides in terms of service to our constituents and the value add in people's lives. And so the folks over in the Streets Department and Public Works do an amazing job, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to shout them out on the record, and hopefully they were able to get it patched up and home to catch what was not the best Super Bowl ever, but still fun nonetheless. Thanks so much.
Thank you for those comments. I really appreciate it. And it sounds like there might be an impromptu ice skating rink in the area that you were.
Let's hope not, because it's 39th, so that's a major thoroughfare.
All right, be careful, everybody. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate that. Councilor Cheryl.
I would agree that I want to kind of ditto what you said about the art museum. There was, as the 50th anniversary, there was a lot of gold there on Saturday night. I believe that your husband was possibly in the best outfit that I saw the entire night. I think it was a fully gold suit. I saw him from afar. But I also just want to remind people that next week is President's Day, and so we do not have a Monday night council meeting, and we do not have committee meetings.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And yes, we're hoping he's going to make an appearance here at some point in that suit. Councilor Jordan.
I'll pass, thanks.
All right, you bet. Councilor Campbell.
I'll pass as well, thank you.
Okay, you bet. How about for folks that are online? Any council members wishing to make comment this evening?
Pass, thank you.
You bet.
I'll also pass, thanks.
All right, thank you, Councilor. Well, okay, folks, that wraps up our city council meeting then for the evening. It is 6:37, and I will adjourn our meeting this evening. Thank you. And 2 public hearings.